Joining me now is one of those 2024 candidates. It's former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson. Governor, nice to see you this morning, or this afternoon. Sorry.
Great to be with you, Chuck.
Let me start with this. Look, you haven't had any public events since the debate. You're in Arkansas right now. You're not on the trail this Labor Day weekend yet. I know you're arriving in New Hampshire on Monday. You got to make the next debate stage to keep this going. What's with the lack of campaign events?
Well, first of all, we're going to be in New Hampshire on Labor Day, which is next Monday, followed by a number of appearances in Iowa and a full schedule over about 3 or 4 states coming up all of September. And so, as you know, Chuck, you also have to raise money. And so our campaign is fully engaged, raising money, having the events next week. And part of that is the design to make sure we're on the debate stage in Simi Valley at the Reagan Library, which I expect to be.
If you're not, is that it?
Well, you know, we'll wait and see how that turns out, but I expect to be there. And, Chuck, you know that many people didn't think I was going to make the last debate stage. And I heard your prognosticators already say you don't think we're going to make the next one at the Reagan Library. So I intend to prove it all wrong. I expect to be there. This is a really critical part of the campaign when people are looking at alternatives to Donald Trump. They're measuring the field. They're looking at the debate. Who can help solve the problem of the economy? Who can address the fentanyl crisis that we have? Who can make sure that we make the right decisions in terms of foreign policy? So the debate is the opportunity to make that case, as well as these public appearances that we have scheduled.
Look, and I know you guys hate when we do this, but, you know, when you look at the field and it's sorted in different categories of candidates who have a certain perspective here, it does feel like yourself, former Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey, and former Vice President Mike Pence, that the three of you, in some ways, you have very similar case you're making, you know, a pro-Constitution, sort of questioning what the behavior of the former president. Do you think it's almost a bit crowded, that you just don't have, that in some ways the three of you are eating into each other's support?
Well, sure. The answer is yes. You know, we divide some of the votes between us, just like Vivek Ramaswamy and Ron DeSantis divide the vote between them as to who's trying to be the most Trump-like. And so, yeah, there's a division there, and this is going to sort out. Everybody, particularly the media, wants to see the last chapter of the book before we actually get to the very beginning. And so we've got a ways to go, and we're excited to know how this turns out in February and beyond, but let's let the voters have a part of the say-so in this. And this is going to play out very well over the coming months. You know,
I used to joke there's two types of people, ones that open a book and read the last page first, and ones that don't. And I know the people that read the last page first because they want it, just in case something happens to them, they want to make sure they knew what they missed. But I'm with you. I like to at least find out what happened. But do you concur with Governor Chris Sununu of New Hampshire, who's like, look, everybody's got to be sober about this, and that don't be Don Quixote, essentially? Do you accept that premise too, that there's a point here, if you're not selling if they're not buying what you're selling, find somebody else that maybe isn't a Trump-like figure?
No, I agree. And Chris Sununu said, you know, winter, everybody needs to reevaluate. We're not in winter yet, and winter goes into January. And so, you know, and then Mitt Romney made the point that we ought to be closing ranks before Super Tuesday. And so there's that time. But absolutely, I evaluate it every day. You know, what's the donor support? Right now, we got a boost coming out of the last debate. What are we looking at in our poll numbers? So all of those are evaluations that we have to make. But right now, we're making the case that I'm ready to lead the United States of America as president.
Have you thought about what does it say about this process that a guy like Vivek Ramaswamy could end up on center stage?
Well, sure. You know, I was prepared for debate, not a food fight. And, you know, we got into a little bit of a slugfest there. So, you know, we've got to engage in that way. It's a little bit disappointing, but at the same time, I understand the media wants to have an entertainment part of a debate, and it shouldn't be boring. I'm glad, climate change is a good illustration of it. One question was asked. I was the only one that raised my hand, and yet, the disruption came from Governor DeSantis, and so there was no follow-up, any effort to communicate the views on this important topic.
No, it didn't come across very serious. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at here. I imagine, I go back, it had to be frustrating to see this because, he's not done anything, and he just sort of has talked his way just by showing up in a green room on a cable news channel. He got to center stage. It just feels like, is the process that broken? Should it work this way?
Well, it's the America's view of the presidency. I mean, you have Donald Trump, who was an entertainer with no political experience, jumped in the fray, and then people think they can mimic that with no experience, as Vivek Ramaswamy has offered. And so, the American public has to take a chance here and make a decision. Do you want somebody who's been a governor, who's balanced the budget, who understands the security issues of the United States of America, and has an understanding of Republican principles? These are evaluations the public has to make versus somebody who's going to be a bomb thrower, a new idea every day, and what direction are they going to take our country?
Yeah, no, it is amazing sometimes that for this job, sometimes the resumes get ignored. Governor Asa Hutchinson, former governor of Arkansas, be safe on the trail. We'll be watching you all week.
Thank you, Todd. Great to be with you.
Thank you, Governor.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.